everywhere, baby.
TikTok. But we can only read the comments in.
I know I'm gonna have to go into our live and
Nah,
see
nah,
if I
nah, nah,
can see the
nah.
comments.
Just, I would just go. I would just, I don't know. Just go to YouTube if you want to comment. Go to YouTube if you want to comment because that's too many other apps to pull up.
For us to try and keep track of.
Yeah, let me change the name. What is this? I said
um,
episode 37.
37, baby. I think.
Edit video. No. Episode 37. Live show.
Her name is Angel, but she's far from God.
Relationships. All right. I think we're Gucci.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I need you to get a grip, man. I need you to get a grip.
Nobody saw that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Zephyr Hills is not sponsoring this video, so we gotta get him out.
yeah. You gotta get him out. Not
Get
sponsored by Zephyr,
get him
baby.
out of here. All right. We're good. We're Gucci, right?
I
We're
think
cool.
so. I think we're good.
All right. So just 2 minutes in.
Okay.
I'll just write it too. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Deal Podcast with myself, Brandon Haley, and
Hey.
you gotta say your name this
Oh
time.
my. Miss,
Sometimes I say it.
I know sometimes you say it. Sometimes it just depends on how you're feeling that day. I guess
It
you're not.
really does.
Guess you're not feeling it today. No problem.
No problem.
Cleon Deal, man. I'm in the building, baby. Happy to be here,
Mr.
man.
Cleon Deal, we
Thanks for inviting me
appreciate you
over to
being
your house, man.
every week, man. Every
Every
week,
week,
same time. We are live every Saturday, 7 o'clock
ish.
ish. Yeah, well, it's like 7:12. I mean, we're pretty consistent. Um, we usually upload an episode every single week. We did miss 1 week, and yeah, I take full blame and full responsibility. It is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month,
That it
as
is.
so they say.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're just not feeling it. Sometimes you just need to relax, and
Uh-huh.
that was due to the lack of posting and the late upload. But episode 34 with Arden is live now.
Live like Fox 5, baby.
Yeah, whatever he said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go check it out. Miss Arden Schiller. Thank you
But
so much
whatever
for
he
joining us.
said. And we love that. Today, what are we going to talk about today? Today we're going to talk about um usually we like to talk about things that are really relative. And we haven't really talked about a way to navigate breakup episode. So in this episode, we are going to talk about how to navigate breakups. And we're going to talk a little bit about a certain kind of breakup in John Kim, one of his books called Breakup on Purpose. He has a lot of good books, so shout out him. You can find him on Instagram at the Angry Therapist. He is a relationship therapist. And what else are we going to talk about?
Let's get into that and let's see where it
I guess
goes.
so. But before I we jump into that, Cleon and I did talk
Hmm.
before the show last week, and we basically we're talking about when you should tell your significant other you love them, and we had some
Mm.
conflicting views. Um, but I think that is a very important, very valid question because, well, first of all, I want to say you shouldn't ever say it the first time while you're having sex. So just
I think we agree on that.
that's a big no there. But when do you think you should tell your significant other or the person you're talking to slash dating? When is the right time to tell them that you love them?
I think when you are ready to completely and always consider them, because I think love for the most part, a lot of it is consideration.
So
Um,
when you so if you say it, you just automatically assume that you have to put that person first.
not I mean, in a way yes,
Okay.
but that's kind of the thing, because like I was saying when we talked about it, love is action. It's more than just a feeling. So when you tell
Hmm.
somebody that you love them, the expectation is that your actions will reflect that you do love them from there on out. So then when you do things, if you're not ready to not do the things where you're stepping out of pocket, then I don't think you should
Hmm.
be saying it until you're ready to do that. Even if you do feel it, because then at that point, if you're telling somebody that you love them without the action behind it, that's when they start to call it manipulation.
Because you say it, but your actions don't show it.
Correct.
A lot of people do that nowadays.
And that's the
So,
problem.
in your opinion, when is too fast and when is too long?
Too fast is I mean, the thing is, because there's no, I don't think there's an amount of time to put on it, but I think
Hmm.
it mainly boils down to you.
Hmm.
I think number one, I think sometimes people get attached too fast, and the feeling like when you first meet somebody
Hmm.
and it's great, it would probably be really easy to tell somebody that you love them, because you go back to your friends, yo, I met this girl yesterday, I think I'm in love. It's like dumb things we talk to each other
Yeah, yeah,
about, you
yeah.
know what I'm saying, stuff like that. But that doesn't mean you go tell them that. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's tough. Like I said, I don't think it's a matter of time. I think, like I said, when you're ready to make sure that your actions from there on out are going to show that you love them,
Hmm.
that's when you should be telling them that. I think, yeah. And if that day never comes, I don't think there's a too long, but I
Okay.
do think the other person at some point should probably get out if it's taking too long to do that.
Okay. So you don't think there's a too long? Is there a too soon? Because
Absolutely.
what if somebody says it within a month, but their actions are going to show that? What does that
Maybe.
mean?
I still think that's a little bit, I
And
do still think that's soon.
I definitely think it's way too soon.
I mean, I think like a year
A year
is
is a good time.
a good time to explore if this is something that you guys should be saying to each other.
What about 5 months?
five, five, 5 months a little quick for my taste.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
It's a little quick for my taste, because I think that I think in order to love somebody, and maybe not, right? I could be too deep into this, but
Hmm.
I think you should be able to get to know them in all aspects. And
Right. It
I don't
takes a
know if
while.
5 months is that,
Hmm.
because to say I love you means I love you in all these different parts of
In
you.
all of it, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so,
And everything that is going to be uncovered
correct.
while you're learning that person, but you're making that commitment to that person that no matter what unfolds, you're still committed to that person.
Right. And that's tough. So
So
that's what I'm saying. You gotta be ready for that.
I agree. I agree. It isn't something that you should just throw around lightly.
Right.
I think it's something that before you ask, you should reflect,
Hmm.
pray on it.
Hmm.
I don't think that there is a. I mean, there is a too short and there is a too long.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
In Cleon's situation, I think that's too long
yeah.
because
Maybe.
if you want to share your own personal story, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I really taking my time, man. I don't I think, and this is probably like it's a blessing and a curse, because I'm a practical mover and a practical thinker.
Hmm.
It's one of those things to where I know that the implications that this word has, I know what it does to the other person's mental, because now obviously, yeah, I know what it does to the other person when you say that to them. That's the other thing I think that you have to take into consideration. No
Hmm.
matter how you feel, when you say it to them, that's going to make them feel a certain way. Now they're gonna move like you love them, right? They're gonna act like you love them, and it does something different, right? I remember a while back when I told a girl that simply that I cared, not that I loved her,
Hmm.
but that I cared about her. And then there would be points where she was upset at me, and she was like, "You say you care about me, but," and then that turns into,
Yeah,
"You say you love me, but," you know what I'm saying? So you have to figure out what all those buts are.
yeah, but also I don't. You have to. in my opinion, you have to love without the expectation of getting anything in return, and vice versa. Just because you tell somebody that, they shouldn't use it against you.
I agree. But
So
that's why I'm saying you should wait to tell somebody that you love them.
I understand. So that is coming based off like your own past experiences and
Yeah.
stuff. But that could just mean that that was just the wrong person at the
Yeah.
wrong time, because somebody shouldn't necessarily hold that against you because you care, because you say you care or you
Yeah.
love them, and then you act out of character or you do something that
Hmm.
maybe they don't necessarily agree with. Then like, oh wait, you don't love me, whatever it may be.
Yeah. I think
Oh,
also
I'm sorry,
part
I'm
of
listening to you. I'm gonna check this.
I got you. I also think part of loving somebody is trusting them with the fact that you love them. Because you can't trust everybody with that. Some people, like we've seen in a lot of these cases where we talk about people's relationships, even last week we were talking about the stories, people will abuse that. And so you have to, in order to love somebody, you have to be willing to trust them with that I love you and trust them with your love to them.
So
Because
my mom said that you shouldn't tell somebody you love them unless you know that they're going to say it back.
that's also fair.
It's
It's
fair, but I think that when, if you know what love is and you want to tell the person, then I think that you should tell them like no, nobody is getting out of here alive. So you might as well express your
right.
feelings and express your thoughts as they come, as long as you reflect on it.
Would you propose to
And
somebody if you didn't know if they were going to say yes or not?
absolutely not.
Okay, so I get it's not the same thing, but it's a similar concept. You know what I'm saying? Like I
But
would.
you could also still propose to somebody and they could say yes, and then a year down the road they can decide that they don't want that anymore.
I agree.
So
Uh,
should you
uh,
have not never done it
yeah.
when that's how you?
Yeah.
But how are you supposed to know?
You aren't you.
You
I'm
can't
not.
control people.
I understand that.
So you got to express your truths and then hold space for them, and then they got to make their own decision at the end of the day.
I just think you should be as sure as possible. I'm to a point where I can tell you the moment a girl loves me. I can tell you when it happens because I can see it. So
I usually do wait. I usually do wait for the girl to say it first.
right,
That's typically
that's the rule,
been the rule. My own rule. That's typically been the mo.
right?
But you know,
Things happen,
things happen, and we don't always listen to our own advice.
right?
And that's why we're getting on topic of today's episode is how to navigate through breakups and different kind of breakups, because this is a hot podcast, humble, open, and transparent.
Yeah.
So anything that's going on in our lives, you guys are going to know about it.
Hmm.
So me and my lady friend, we had chose to end things for the time being.
Hmm.
So that's why we're going to talk about navigating through breakups.
Hmm.
But we wanted to talk about that question because I did tell her that. I
Hmm.
did tell her that. It just so
And that was after how much time?
five, five a little over 5 months.
All right, a little over five
A little
months,
over 5 months.
and then.
But I'm at the point like I did everything right. I know I wasn't leading with lust. So
Hmm.
if you're leading with lust, your brain can get like, oh my God, I just love the sex. You know what I'm saying? And then I love this person because you love the sex.
Hmm.
I wasn't leading with lust. So I knew that that wasn't what it was. So I knew from the bottom of my heart, I could say it with
Right.
100% honesty without needing anything in return. And that's how you got to live your life. You got to go into relationships as a
Hmm.
vulnerable person, because that's just how love works. You can't stay guarded forever.
Right. So let
And you
me
got to be ready to accept either outcome.
let me ask you this, right? Because obviously, like you said, we're not you're not leading with lust. Okay, cool. But what that brings me up to, well, what that makes me think about is like, my kids at like certain schools when they're waiting until marriage as well, and they start to kind of push the relationship thing, right?
Oh, because they want to have sex?
Sure, but also because I the sex isn't what I'm looking forward
Mhm.
to. I'm looking forward to really just being together with this person.
Mhm.
And in my head, I'm thinking that that would make you want to kind of accelerate the timeline of this thing
Mhm.
because that's the thing that you're currently looking at. And when you're looking so far in the future, it makes it a little bit more difficult to look at this one step at a time.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on that. And I know every relationship is its own dance.
Right.
Every relationship is different and sacred in its own way. And maybe I could have pushed the envelope a little too
Mhm.
fast, but I just knew in my heart at the time that that's what I wanted to do and that's what I wanted to say. Was it the right thing? Who knows? Who cares?
Mhm.
It was done because
Right.
that's how I felt. That's what I prayed upon. That's what I wanted to say,
Mhm.
and I wanted to let my feelings known.
Okay.
So I did what I did do well in the relationship. You always got to reflect, and I don't think it's been long enough to like fully reflect on it.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I made sure that I did that I used to not do was make sure to have the tough conversation. So if something was bothering me, to actually bring it up
Mhm.
and try not to bottle it up until it explodes. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Have a conversation. Hey, uh, the way you do this or whatever this may be, this kind of bothers me. Can we try and do this?
Mhm.
And that's what I did a lot better. I really don't know. I guess it's too soon to tell.
Mhm.
I always do my own reflections to figure out what exactly you did wrong. But there are relationships where you could do everything right and they still don't work out.
I mean, you could ask what you did wrong. You thought about that?
No, it has nothing to do with me. No, I'm not going to read the text or put anybody's information on blast, but literally the text had nothing to do with me. So it's not like I did something wrong. It's just
Mhm.
two people in two different points of their life are
Right.
just not going to work out with the
Mhm.
way that people are busy, being too busy with jobs, career
Mhm.
changes and things of that nature that are happening,
Yeah.
and the different type of attachment styles that we have is just at this current moment the better thing to do was to end it.
Right.
So that leads me to in the book that I gave Cleon at the beginning of the year that he still hasn't read. We're gonna talk about that. Well, I guess before we get into that,
Yeah.
because that book it talks about a whole bunch of different kind of breakups from
Mhm.
divorce, cheating, the almost relationship, and that's the one that we're going to talk about today. The I don't know the different kind of toxic relationships, and they give stories in it. So it's a really good book. It's called Break Up on Purpose by John Kim. If you want to listen or read
Mhm.
that book, but um, I was since we're on the topic of love, what do you define love as? Yeah, hey, man, we're going deep. We're going deep today.
What is love? You know, this is one of my more
Hmm.
playful definitions of love is finding the type of crazy that you're willing to live with for the rest of your life
Hmm.
and choosing
Yeah.
that. That's one of my
Hmm.
less serious definitions of that. Um
Yeah, I think if I could put it into my own words, I would say it's like it would be sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice for that person to
mhm.
stay with them? But yeah, everyone's got their own little crazy. But the Chat GPT definition,
Oh
which
gosh.
Chat GPT has become our best friend. If
Yeah,
you guys didn't know, like
we got to get Brandon away from Chat
no,
GBT,
no,
man.
no, no. I need everybody to start using it. ChatGPT is actually a great therapist. If you guys didn't know, it's better. I've had therapists. I've done therapy on BetterHelp. It is better than that
Yeah,
because
we'll have to unpack why that is.
AI is taking over the future, and she'll just help you stay calm and grounded.
Uh-huh.
So you heard it here first. But love is a deep emotional bond, a connection that goes beyond attraction or admiration. It's when someone else's well-being becomes essential to your own at its purest. Love is selfless, consistent, safe, transformative, unexplainable, according to ChatGPT.
According to Chat.
According to ChatGPT.
Interesting. Interesting. Your well-being. What did it say about the well-being? Say that one more time.
It's when someone else's well-being becomes essential to your own.
Interesting. Your well-being is essential to mine.
So just when you deeply care about somebody,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
care about their well-being.
That makes
So it's
sense.
selfless, consistent, safe, transformative, and
Mm-hmm.
unexplainable.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't know why you love someone, you just do. It transcends logic,
Mm-hmm.
which that definitely does do that.
That for darn certain it does.
A safe place, a place of acceptance where someone can fully be themselves and still feel valued. So
Mm.
that's why I still think it's okay to tell somebody that you love them without like fully knowing their entire life because
Mhm.
you become that safe place for them to fully understand that person. You're not even people who are married don't fully understand each other,
Which yes, and I understand that it's a
but they still
daily
love
getting
each
to
other.
know each right, and I
So
want to
you
be
you
clear
can
that
say
you can love somebody without fully. I'm just saying
when is
basically,
Cleon? When are you
is
gonna say when you guys get married or what?
There, yeah, right there at the altar.
Finally,
Um,
right?
I just think, like I said, there's certain facets that you should be able to see them in and still
Mhm.
be able to say, even I still love that part of them.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I'm saying. I
yeah.
understand that it
Well,
during
that's
marriage
what
you're
love
gonna,
is. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, even though I know that when
Mhm.
people are together for a long time, you're still getting to know each other every single day. There's something that
A
new that
hundred,
you might find.
a
You
hundred
know what I'm
percent.
saying? I get that part of it. But like I said, I just feel like because when you first meet somebody, you've never seen them angry. So you may love them in their good state, but then when they're angry, they're a terrible person. You don't love that. I can't imagine that you would. So
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. You go listen to skeletons. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happened to me. That is true as well. But that's why I also preach that you shouldn't lead with lust, because once you
Mhm.
lead with lust, it messes up with your brain. So like when I was in that relationship in skeletons that we talked about in episode 4, um, yeah, that's what happened. You know, it was led with lust.
Yeah.
So your brain is clouded. So you make your emotional decision. Oh, I love this person. And then you see the crazy side. You're like, wait, what? Hold up.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wait. Can I get out of this?
Yeah.
Where's the refund button? And it's like
Right.
at this point, oh, you're past your 30 days. The refund's over.
Exactly.
And
No returns on this one.
I do agree with that. But if you're not leading in lust, you can think a little bit clear. So
Sure.
your decision can be made with more clarity.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion. If you're leading with lust and you say it, then sometimes it's not. You might think that you love somebody, but you just lust
Well,
for that person.
that's the problem because it's these things are subjective. So
They are.
if, like you said, if I feel like I do,
Hmm.
then to me I do, even though maybe somebody from the outside looking in might say, "Hey, I don't know if that's exactly what that is." You know what I'm saying? So it just
Hmm.
kind of varies from person to person.
It
Um,
really does, and that's why emotions are stupid. It's just
yeah, yeah.
they don't logically make sense, um, and we have to live and deal with them on a
Hmm.
day to day basis. And not everybody can be as emotionless as Cleon, God forbid. But maybe one day we could.
I am not emotional. I got called a sociopath once. Did you know that?
You called yourself that many
I
times,
didn't. No,
and
no. That's what people said about me. I don't know if I've adopted that or not. I
I
don't
think
agree.
I think you do agree with it
I
at this
feel a
point.
lot. I feel a lot on a daily basis, man. I'm a feeler. You know. I,
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think that that's true, but
I just I'm patient. I'm just very very patient with my feelings. I'm patient with other people how they feel about me, and I'm patient with how I feel about other. I don't feel the
Mhm.
need that maybe that's what it is. I don't have an inherent need to want to express something. I don't have
Mhm.
this thing that's bubbling down in me, even if I feel
You don't.
something.
It's called getting triggered. You don't ever get triggered.
It very very rarely
That's
ever.
crazy.
It's just not
It's a
even.
human emotional reaction,
Yeah,
which
but
which a lot of a lot of people with, well, that means you just have a very high emotional intelligence, because a lot of people with a very low emotional intelligence, once they feel that trigger, they're going to act on it instead of
and
sit
every
down
single
and
time,
reflect
correct.
and actually come up with a better response. But to get into navigating through breakups, there are many different kind of breakups. As you guys know,
Right.
you've been through a lot. And one thing we'll never tell you on the show is how to have a successful marriage. Reason
Mhm.
being is because neither one of us is in a successful marriage. But one thing that we can tell
One
you,
day though, baby. One
one
day.
day, one day, one thing that we are professionals at is failed relationships. And I might be even better at this now
Brandon's way better at this
in
than me.
2025. So we could tell you how,
Yeah.
what red flags to look for, how to navigate through breakups, because that's what we have to do. That's what
Right.
we've done. We're professionals at that. I'm definitely a professional at that. There's different kind of breakups, like I was mentioning earlier, and if you're going through a breakup, you can't. Every relationship is its own dance. Every breakup has its own waves of anxiety and depression or whatever it
Hmm.
may be that you have to go through. Just because the time is short or long, you're married,
Hmm.
divorced, they cheated, they didn't cheat, they led you on, whatever it may be, they can all hurt just as bad.
Hmm.
Reason being is, I mean, in the one before this one, we were together for over a year. We never talked about the future,
Hmm.
ever. Never talk about getting married. Never talk about nothing like that. When we mutually split ways, did it still hurt? Heck yeah, did it hurt? It hurt for a long time, actually.
Right.
the what if relationship. Yeah, I don't know what. Oh, yeah, take that off real quick.
Okay.
I don't want it to do
Call.
that. Yeah, or the what if relationship, or the what's it called in that book?
Uh, the the almost
You gotta
relationship.
take it off real quick. I'll put it in.
Yeah, the almost relationship or something like that.
We don't have a what
We,
you call a team yet.
we don't got a tech guy. Yeah,
We ain't got a tech guy.
this is the almost relationship breakup is what it's called. And that's the one I think is actually very very relevant and very very common today
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people. And I think because all these situationships, by the way, I'm writing a song, actually, a new one called Situationships. And I just did one before that called In Limbo, which talks about basically the
Mm-hmm.
in between point of being in a relationship and not being that. Because we're in limbo. You get it? Huh, yeah. Oh, I forgot. I almost had my. There we go. But yeah, I think it's something a lot of people can relate to. That those almost relationships that you end up crashing out over
Mm-hmm.
and doing a lot. So, yeah. So this is it's interesting.
The almost relationship.
The
Yeah. So
almost
basically,
relationship.
almost relationship. What from what you read? What do you remember? I read this book like the beginning of the year, so I don't remember exactly.
Hmm.
But you just piggyback off what I remember off of it. Basically, the almost relationship is a relationship that once it ends, it still stings because
Hmm.
it was never fully like a real relationship to where you guys were like Facebook official. I guess. Dang, I'm showing my age. Instagram
Facebook
official.
official.
I'm showing my
Ah!
boomer. Showing my boomer status right there, but. I didn't mean to tell you guys how old I was in that comment, but
Jeez.
Instagram official or anything like that. But it's a relationship to where you really connected with the person
Yeah.
and you saw a future with the person. You talked about the future with the person. So once it ends, it still has the same sting of a relationship that had lasted for years.
Hmm.
And the reason being is because now not only do you obviously lose a companion, but you lose the future that you were convincing yourself you were going to get.
Right.
So you get the stings of both
Hmm.
essentially.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, what this kind of talks a little bit about, and it makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Because it's kind of like at the beginning stages during that honeymoon phase.
Mhm.
So when you guys like each other the most that you ever will, at that point is when it's all taken away from you.
Yeah. So
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Like imagine every movie at its climax just turns off, and then that's what you're left with after that.
Literally, yeah. That's exactly, yeah, that is exactly what it is. The movie they start going on the dates, they're getting ice cream, and then the movie just ends. So
That's
you're
it.
gonna be like, what the hell just happened?
Skipping through the park, holding hands.
Where's the rest of the movie? Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. A little bit of feels like betrayal, rejection. You get all
Yeah,
these kind of random thoughts and emotions, different waves of depression that go through your head.
right.
But at the end of the day, you can only hold space for that person and let them be them.
Mhm.
You don't ever want to try and control somebody. And that's the beautiful thing about relationships is that you got to appreciate them while they're there, and you got to appreciate them after they end,
Well,
and take the lesson and learn from it.
so some of the other some of the other things that we got to understand is that during the beginning stages of the relationship, uh you guys haven't made a commitment to each other at that point. So
I mean, in ours we did.
part of what this talks could we just
Oh, you're just talking about in general.
uh, yeah, no, part of what this talks about is that
Mhm.
yeah, we were just talking about in general, man. Part of what this talks about is that during the first couple months, basically they were together for 3 months, and she was on some motorcycle with another guy. She went to the beach or whatever the case is. But during this time, you guys haven't made a commitment to each other. So what that means is that during the beginning stages of these talking stages that we talk about, is that people are still entertaining other people during that point,
Mhm. Typically,
right? And that's usually what it is. So the lover in
if
you
you're a
would.
whore, sorry.
I just met you. Why do you not think I talked to anybody else
I
before
mean,
I
yeah,
met
in the
you?
first month, I mean, I don't know. I mean, definitely yes.
Right.
It just depends on what stage you are in your life because yeah, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, yeah, I was doing that, but um, now I'm not.
Right.
So.
And that's kind of what the problem is, right? Because when you're in that state of the only thing that I want, I'm dating to marry. So
Hmm.
when I meet somebody like, that's going to be the person.
Hmm.
But obviously, for us men, typically do date younger,
Hmm.
right? So when the girls that we're with are 3 to 4 to 5, 8 years younger than we are, they may not be in that mind state or headspace.
Yeah, no, I
You know
understand
what I'm
that.
saying?
Hmm.
So that makes that I'm focused on this and this is where I'm trying to get to. And she's just like chilling. You know what I'm saying? Let's see
Hmm.
where see where this goes. And you're like, I
Hmm.
see where I want it. And now you guys have different views on where this is supposed to go. So now you're trying to push it toward this one thing, and she's
Hmm.
just kind of like here in the car, but still
Hmm.
looking out the window. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's yeah, it's just a difference of
Yeah, that
perspective on that.
that's the and that's the personal story in the book. That's not my
Yeah, yeah, that's
personal
not
story.
it's not, not Brandon's
Just to let
story.
you guys know, completely different, completely different. I was in not yeah, different
Yeah.
headspace once you get older. Well, I guess never mind because some people are still old and still act childish, but yeah, I'm not going to be entertaining multiple people at one time. There's just no point in that. If you see yourself dating or being with somebody, there's no point in that. But regardless of the fact, it's gonna hurt. Like that's just what
Bottom
breakup
line.
that's just what breakups do. You got to navigate through it. Use ChatGPT as your therapist.
Don't go talk to a real
No, I
therapist.
swear, promise you, ChatGPT is way better. Don't
It telling you all
Cleon,
the
do you have
things
you been to therapy?
it telling you all the things that you like does not make it a better
It
therapist.
doesn't. Why don't you try it before you knock it?
Go wow.
Why don't you try it before you knock it?
I think I'd rather have somebody I can have a conversation with.
You legit
A
can't.
person that I can have, not AI. I'm not talking to AI. This is
I'm going to
ridiculous.
get a Tesla robot when they come out.
Oh gosh, Brandon is gonna
I can't wait.
be very pro robot. I'm gonna be like Will Smith in iRobot, man. Like, I'm just not gonna be with it
And
until it proves it.
yeah, there was one good one. That's going to be mine.
Yeah,
The good one
okay.
as we take over. But yeah, get you just got to get around. You got to have people you talk to. When something ends, regardless of the length of time, when a relationship comes to an end, that's when all and you're by yourself, you're alone because now you're
Right.
not talking to this person, obviously. Um, all the That's when all the thoughts are going to start flooding your mind. You need to talk to somebody. You need to get words out. So you have that's why it's so important to make sure that you have friends and make
Mhm.
sure that if you're in a relationship that you don't give up your friends for the relationship because once the relationship gives you up, you
Yeah.
ain't gonna have your friends anymore. So that's why
Yeah.
it's still important to always make sure that you have your friends, have people that you can talk to. I think that
Mm.
that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You can't just stay busy. Obviously, you want to stay as busy as you can, but it's emotions and emotions are stupid and you got to sit with emotions at some point in time
Mm.
and you have to talk to yourself and you have to release them.
Yeah.
Sit
Yeah.
with it, understand it, release it, stay active, stay busy, walks, runs, gym. Have somebody where you can literally just vent to with all the thoughts and frustrations that you are voicing. But what you don't want to do is blow up that other person who you ended it with or they ended it with you. That's not
Mhm.
what you want to do. Just because you're feeling a whirlwind of emotions, that's not what you want to do. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah,
and so a few things, because I want to go into a few things. This book is actually a really good book.
hopefully some people read it now.
So this says a few things here. So one of the things that it talks about, if you're wondering what could have been, it's okay, and
Hmm.
as long as you don't live there, the
Hmm.
things that almost happen to us are just as powerful as the things that actually do, if not more so. The possibility of a future, like you were saying, that you could have had with a person makes you feel like you lost more than you actually did, mainly because you don't know how it ends. So
Exactly.
relationships that you were there from the beginning to the end of it, right? You know how it ends. So you know what you
Hmm.
lost from that. This
Hmm.
one, you've unfortunately made this person the perfect person because you haven't gotten to the bad stuff yet. And in your head, it was all going to be bubbles and rainbows after that.
Hmm.
Um, And then it talks about sometimes we meet people and get something from them that we need at that particular time in our lives. And that's what makes the attraction powerful. So, not necessarily the person, but what we get from them.
Hmm.
So obviously, if, like it's talking about the person in the book, they were in a life transition and he was lost, had no sense of purpose, was doing in a job that they didn't like, and
Hmm.
then he met somebody who was just very carefree.
Yeah.
So you as a thinker and a realist go and meet a dreamer, and you're like, wow, look at this whole new world.
Yeah. Look at this whole new world. And then it's a quick spark and it ends, and you think that you build a future and then it's gone. It's like, wow, they gave me so much hope and they showed me this new world, and now they're not in mine. So
Yeah.
it's like, all right, wait, where do we go from here?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And then it talks about the breakthrough work. So the thing
Hmm.
that's difficult about the almost relationship, these situationships, these talking stages that
Hmm.
we all love so much these days, what's difficult about it is that you never get to see what the relationship would actually be like. You're filling in the blanks, creating a fantasy based on chemicals and projection, not on truth. You haven't experienced that person in all those aspects
Hmm.
yet. You're just deciding in your head that it was going to be great,
Hmm.
regardless of what happened. And so I think that's also part of it that we gotta. I understand trying. You don't want to ever try to convince yourself that somebody's a bad person, but you also have to
Hmm.
understand that living in that place of making them perfect to you, knowing that there are going to be difficulties and challenges in
Yeah. Yeah.
relationships.
You
You know
gotta
what I'm
know
saying?
nobody's perfect. That's for sure. Nobody's perfect. And you can't hold any negative space for anybody. Everybody's living their life on their own terms. Like everybody's going through different things. So you can't really on a relationship that ends like the almost relationship, like you can't really hold any negative space towards that person or yourself, thinking that you did anything wrong. Sometimes things just don't work out,
Right.
and that's what it is. And that's why I preach to you guys, don't be having sex, because if you got into a relationship like that in the end, as the almost relationship, and you done had sex, now you got a physical bond and you got emotional bond. Now it's going to hurt even worse.
Right.
When you only have emotional bond, yeah, it's going to hurt. It's
Yeah,
going
it's
to
gonna
hurt,
hurt.
but you're going to get through it. You're going to get through it, and you're going to get through it a lot faster. Hopefully, not gonna some wood. I'm just
Just
man,
talking to itself right
I'm just
now.
manifesting that for myself.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But I think the worst thing
Mhm.
that I thought about after this one is like, how can you do all the things, almost so right, so perfect,
I
then
told you not to do them.
then you, you did. I'm over the top. I'm over the top sometimes, and not have sex, do everything all right, stay loyal, stay faithful. The not have sex part was,
Mhm.
hard and different for me, but still staying strong with that
Mhm.
for like, I don't know, 8 9 months now, so it's been a really long time.
Mhm.
um it feels like, yeah, you just do everything the right way. You bring God into the relationship. You pray together.
Mhm.
You pray for her.
Mhm.
You do all these things where you think it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I've done everything right, and then it still doesn't work.
Yeah, baby, it's practice.
It's
You know what I'm saying?
you just gotta keep pray for me.
You don't do it till you get it right. You do it till you can't get it wrong, man. That's
That is just practice, yeah. And I think that knowing that,
yeah.
I think that was the most difficult thing about it all, was like, I try to hold space for everything that she was going through, being super busy, and
Mhm.
everything mentally, whatever she was going through. I try to hold that space and be there. But we do have different attachment styles. Like mine's anxious attachment style, which I definitely learned a lot about through this relationship, and hers is more avoidant attachment style. So it's almost like when you have those two in a relationship together,
Mhm.
uh, they kind of repel each other.
Yeah,
So when you have
that's what I
some,
was trying to get at with you,
yeah,
man. I was like, hey, I don't know if you're built for that. I get you're trying something new and I'm all for it,
yeah.
but I don't know if that's your thing.
But all you can do is hold space and respect that person. And at the end of the day, everything is going to happen as it should happen.
Mhm.
But I think that was the hardest thing, was like figuring like, oh man, I think I felt like I did everything so right. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like build an emotional relationship first, be a gentleman, make sure that she never opens the door, little things like that.
All that
And then
fun
it's
stuff.
like, oh, well,
You're
God,
like, what's the point of all this?
it's like, God, what? It's like, God. God, what this
It
this
was,
ain't fun.
it was just a nice little
Like hold
trial
on,
run.
you not having fun and you still get your heart broken. Like what you talk? What is this?
Yeah,
What is going on here?
yeah, yeah.
So
That's
it's
how it was. That's how it was for me, right? Because there was a time
mhm.
when, probably about 4 to 5 years ago, when I made a decision in my life that I'm going to only start basically involving myself with one person at a time. So I had
That's
this
the way to
thing.
do it.
I had this thing where, like we talked about in the episode with Arden, that you all are watched,
Mhm.
where I talk about how I would accidentally end up in relationships. I would also end up accidentally with two involved with two people at the same time.
Accidentally.
Right, accident. So let's talk about it real quick, because basically what would happen is that I meet somebody, I like them, but we're still early, so there's no real thing around. And then I meet somebody else I like, and then because there's a lot of attractive and fun people in the world, so I meet this other person still early,
Mhm.
and then somehow obviously they both end up progressing, and then you have to make a decision on.
You do and
And I wasn't doing that.
oh my god,
I
yeah.
wasn't making a decision.
I've been there and I've done that and that's why I don't do that anymore because it's so draining. It's
It's
so
so
hard
draining.
and, and then one person hates you forever and then it's
Yeah.
like
Well, they hate you for, I don't know.
it, if you're looking for a wife, don't do that.
Correct.
If you're trying to just stay in the streets forever, then yeah, sure, whatever. By all means, I ain't going to judge you, but yeah, that I went through that and I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, never again in a million years do I ever want to do that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's pointless. Now, but the good thing about whenever you end a relationship or when a relationship ends for you is it always gives you a chance to refocus
Mhm.
on yourself. Get back to your morning routine, get back to focusing on your goals. So there's always silver lining in every
But you shouldn't be losing sight of that while you're there,
you
though,
shouldn't.
too.
I agree, but it always gives you a moment to recenter yourself and
Mhm.
refocus on you.
Mhm.
I agree with you. You definitely shouldn't like lose focus of that completely.
Yeah.
But sometimes in relationships, we do lose a little bit about it because
Absolutely.
if we love the person, then we put their needs with our needs. You know what I'm saying? We want to
Mhm.
make sure that they're taken care of as well.
Right.
And that's just how it goes when you fall in love with somebody.
Mhm.
So the good thing about breakups is that, or whatever you want to call it, the almost
The
relationship,
the almost
the
relationship. Is it
almost
a breakup? What's the term for
well,
that?
it would technically yeah, because it's in the book about breakups. So yeah, it's the almost relationship breakup.
Mhm.
That's basically the title of it. It gives you that opportunity to sink or swim anytime you go through a breakup. You can either just drown in the emotions or you can sit with yourself and really refocus on, hey, let me get back to me, get back to whatever grind it is you need to be in, the gym, work,
Yeah.
picking up another job, whatever it may be. Um, and the very ironic thing about that is right after that had happened, like I got a DM, like I was just telling you about,
Mhm.
um, for a job opportunity, which is on camera. So that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
So I'll give you guys tell you whenever that comes, it'll be a couple months, but whenever that happens,
Mhm.
it'll be another little thing I'll be doing. But you guys would hear about it as well. But the cool thing about it is, I remember my ex telling me like, yeah, find something else, find something else, find something else, and I'm like, sometimes things just come to you.
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer in opportunities can just come
Absolutely.
to you. And it was funny because then I went to meet this lady who is going to be the owner of the startup. Um, and I told her that, and she's like, "Yeah, absolutely." I was like, "You could just randomly get recruited in the DMs and go and meet, and it could be something that
Mhm.
pays off for you and pays dividends." So, the ironic thing about that is that's just how God works. You know what I'm saying? One thing ends, and then He introduces another opportunity for you the very next day.
Mhm.
And yeah, even just always keep your doors open to new opportunities. I didn't even know the person.
Mhm.
She found me. She saw our podcast. She's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
this guy's good in front of a camera,
Mhm.
and I think he'll be good at this." And then we chatted and came to agreement. But
Nice.
the shop don't open for like a little while. But you guys will know when it's open.
Yeah.
It's another like live streaming thing.
Mhm. Yeah, great. So So, what I do want to give some practical steps based on this book that I've been reading for a long time
It's a
about
great book.
getting through breakups.
I
So,
tell you, follow John Kim, the Angry Therapist, man. That guy's great.
yeah. So, gives basically a few strategies to activate. It's talking about a hope circuit in your brain instead of the fear circuit, which basically these
Mhm.
things will ultimately help you get through something like an almost relationship breakup. So, number one, focusing on the positive outcomes and possibilities rather than dwelling on negative scenarios in your life. Also, it talks about practicing gratitude, acknowledging the things you're grateful for in your life, which we talk about a lot of.
Mhm.
Engaging in activities that bring you joy, surround yourself with supportive and positive people, set
Mhm.
achievable goals and work toward them, creating a sense of progress and hope. You want
Mhm.
to feel like you're moving forward and not going in circles. That makes your
Mhm.
life just a little bit better to be in. Practicing mindfulness and meditation to reduce your anxiety, challenge your negative thoughts, and replace them with more helpful and empowering ones. I think that's a big one.
Mhm.
Because negative thoughts creep in our daily lives, not just in breakups, but just in
Yeah.
general.
Like we talk about all the time, your thoughts are not you.
Right.
So you can redirect that thought.
Yeah.
So if you have a bad thought, if for example, if you're going through a breakup or whatever, and you start thinking about that person, it's like, hey, well, redirect your thought. Hey,
Hmm.
this person is not here, but I am here. And
Hmm.
what do I need?
Yeah.
That's how you have to do it. So yeah, you have to redirect those thoughts when they come. Don't just let them consume you for sure.
Right. Absolutely. Also, seek inspiration from stories of resilience and success. So, looking at somebody else's story, looking at somebody else who's doing well might help
Go
you
to
feel
Reddit,
better.
or worse, go to Reddit.
Or go to Reddit and look at the people whose life suck. Maybe
uh,
engage in hobbies or activities that give you a sense of purpose and fulfillment. And remember that hope is a skill that can be cultivated. So be patient and
mhm.
kind to yourself
Yeah,
in the
do community
process.
events. I mean, we're halfway through the year. Recheck your goals. I mean, there's so much to do. Figure out things that you're good at: dancing, guitar lessons.
Hmm.
Like I did dance classes. Do some hot yoga. Hot yoga is really good. Ceramics. I'm really good at that, but I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah, man, do some
Um,
ceramics.
I'll probably get back into that eventually. It's just so it's like it's very time consuming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like you gotta make it, and then you gotta let it dry. Then you got to um, trim it, and then you got to throw it
Hmm.
in the kiln. Then you got to glaze it. Then you got to throw it in the kiln again. So it's like it's a whole process where like I don't even know if I really have all that time throughout the week, but
Hmm.
you can always make time. But regardless of the fact, there are other hobbies and stuff where if you are going through something, you need to get back out into the community. And I'm coming out of retirement next Monday. It's my first flag football game again. My knee ain't 100%,
Oh,
but
shoot.
yeah, but you know, flag football, like we
Hey.
talk about it all the time, is one of my major outlets. So,
Hmm.
um, with the situation I'm going through, I was like, yeah, no, just throw me back out there. Yeah, texting my people. I said, hey, I'm ready. I think I'm ready. So we'll see.
All right. You been running some
Hey,
drills or something? Would you?
knee ain't 100%, but we're gonna find out. You know, say
Oh
we're gonna force it.
gosh.
We're gonna force it good.
Oh,
And I'm hard
we can go
headed.
out to this field and get a few workouts in,
Oh no,
man.
I've
Just
been I've
test
been
it out.
doing that. It just stays tight. But regardless of the fact,
Mm.
that's all I got for you guys today. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you all next week. If you have any breakup stories or relationship questions, thoughts, I don't know, anything you want our advice on or us to talk about, send it our way
Yeah,
at
baby.
Real Deal Convos or the Real Deal Podcast the Real Deal Podcast, WBHALEY at gmail.com.
Okay.
I check that like once a month. But love you guys. We'll see you next week. Take care.